Hey guys, and welcome back to Wessin The World. So Wessin The World has taken on a long form, um, a distance shot. I don't know why. I haven't brought my laptop closer to me, but obviously it's all about the audio experience. And it's just about the calming effect of just this room. I mean, it could be well lit. It could have, pop stands, mic stands, all that sort of stuff. But, right now, it's just for downgrading massively because I don't have mic stands or boom stands or any of that sort of stuff. So I'm looking to obviously upgrade over time. I'm just going to start putting out this podcast regularly, see how many people listening, see how many people pay attention. It's not about the people, it's about the individual kinds of people I'm trying to filter out of my friendship list. So just trying to filter out the people that just want to have relaxing conversation. Just calm conversation in which we can sort of combine our logic that we've gained, compile it in a space, and really just take it, take it apart. So it's really important for me for conversation. So obviously this is a difficult period right now for myself because I'm a very conversatable. Is that a word? Conversational. Um, conversational person. So it's quite difficult right now. But I'm just really discovering a lot because solitude is an incredible superpower that human beings rarely use. Solitude. It's the same reason. It's the same reason Bonnie Iver could go to a fucking log cabin for like 6 months and come out and just redefine indie music, indie folk, for the better. But it can go away, take that superpower, change the world. It's really hilarious because you can see that I'm smoking. But also, I want this to be a space for people that have a relaxed attitude towards drugs. Obviously, filtering out those people as well. And yeah, so I'm having a lot of thoughts around consciousness at the moment, as I always am, about consciousness. And if you'll go with me on this thought, so obviously, the right and the left hemispheres of the brain is a big, you know, it's a big debate in the psychological realm because there's the logical side, which is the left, which is the construction, which I imagine is a big city where everything runs, you know, really well. Everyone's robots, but you know, everything runs really well. And then you got on the right side of the brain, and you got all these hippies on hills, and everything's sort of falling apart, but there's not really technology. Nothing's really falling apart because they're like foragers. So they're just like that's sort of like the exploratory side of the brain. In psychology, it's seen as the mind that deals with unexplored territory. The left side of the brain usually deals with explored territory. So this is people that are incredibly left-brained in new situations get increased anxiety, cortisol in the brain. It makes you feel like you're disconnected from your tribe. But if you can live on the right side of your brain, you go to new environments, you're so exploratory, you're so open to new experiences. But if you're not logical enough, you'll end up getting robbed because that's what happens in more freer countries than where we are now. And by free, I mean, okay, so you get diplomacy that we have, and then you get diplomacy that Russia sort of got. So they're more free, but in the bad kind of way. In the bad kind of way, in the fact that you can pay off police and get away with crimes. That's that's probably as free as you can get, to be honest. But that's the bad kind of free. 'Cause that's people using their freedom to, you know, commit crimes. But as we know, the law doesn't determine morality. The law doesn't determine morality, and what is illegal, i.e., weed, isn't necessarily unethical. We know this because people that selling weed don't deserve to go to prison for 11 years, 10 years, 12 years, all these madness. And they go to criminal college to become fully fledged criminals, come out, and then they have that on their record, can't do anything other than sell drugs. You're really putting them back into an environment where they can't thrive, which is probably why they prefer prison, which is probably why they go back to crime. It's really simple if you just follow the pathology. I don't understand where our politicians are. at mentally. And this brings me back to my point, the left side of the brain. Incredibly left. It's very strange because in the political framework, the right wing is incredibly left brain thinking, which does confuse it a little bit, which does annoy me quite a lot, to be honest. Only because it's a little annoyance. You know, those little annoyances where everything seems to make sense and then you get to the politics and it's just like the left wing is in the right brain because they're more compassionate, more calm, more creative, more about the future, more idealistic. The right wing, of course, would see this as who are incredibly left-brained would see this as a waste of time, idealistic, opportunistic, delusional nonsense. That's how they see it, because they're trying to stay in explored territory. Stay with me on this. So the left side of the brain, explored territory. Right side of the brain, unexplored territory. Both these brains to come together to create logic. You create speech. So speech is a creative expression logically put together. So it's logically put together with words, formed together in sentences. That's where the logic is. But the way that that's all creativity. These two sides of the brain have to come into congruence in order to allow you to speak in the exact pitch, tone, cadence, accent, what's the word? Dialect. All of these things have to come together in order for you to create speech in a way that will make you understand what I'm saying. It's very interesting. I find it very interesting. I hope these aren't just the ramblings of someone high. I really just wanted to put my thoughts into a space and then put that space on the internet. And anyone who stays, stays, but anyone who doesn't, doesn't. But, you know, at least people will have stayed for a reason because it's a long form thing, so you can't really just drop in halfway through with this. So I'm going to continue with this idea of the left and right hemisphere of the brain. People know me, people know I talk about this quite a lot, but I feel like it's very important to understand the mind, especially now more than ever. You need to know what's happening to your brain every time you turn on your phone, time you go on Facebook. It's a very important feature of human life that you have to take into consideration, you know, how your brain works and how your brain perceives things. Because, I mean, I say this all the time, but your perspective affects your judgment, and your judgment affects your life. So, obviously, if you're, I was thinking about this earlier, people that believe, okay, so if what's happening right now, you don't have to agree with it, all the politics and, you know, gay rights and all that sort of stuff. Like, you don't have to agree with it, but you have to accept it. And I think that two sides of that got confused. And I think people, when they don't accept something, I won't accept it, they're not accepting it into their worldview. That's basically what they're telling you. And that's why it annoys people when people are racist, because they're saying, I can't accept it, I won't accept it. Gay marriage, I won't accept it. And that's the refusal of letting someone merge their programming with your programming. You're not accepting that. And if you refuse enough of those opportunities to expand your mind, eventually you're going to end up in a world that not everyone else lives in. You're going to live in a world that's incredibly one-sided, incredibly one-winged. You're going to find yourself in tribalism and not a very high up in the hierarchy, because you've kept yourself very limited. And it's not just about intelligence. Everyone's born with a set amount of intelligence. That intelligence can grow, it can shrink. But I feel as though that people aren't taking into account the size of someone's awareness. And your awareness is the amount of information that you know about the world around you, down to the molecule, down to the atom. I feel like this. When you watch things, we've all done this. Obviously, you know, if you've listened this far, you definitely smoke. So, yeah, I think the way that we expand our awareness through life definitely plays a role in how we go about our life. Obviously, too much awareness can make you scared to do anything, yes. but also keeping yourself in a box, not knowing about this stuff fully, will also make you petrified to do anything. It's people watching out the window without stepping outside. So they've seen all this stuff happening in other countries from the safety of behind their window, but have they really gone to those countries? See, that's the difference. And having lived in Spain and had my year in Spain, and yeah, man, there's a whole other world. There's a whole other world, and I had to admit, well, I had to accept. There it is again. I have to accept these things into my world for them to become. I have to merge my programming with their programming. A lot of people are refusing to do that because they think ignorance is bliss. But they also don't know it's a prison. And the people that are more aware are the wardens of that prison. And the wardens of that prison decide the state of play, and the state of play is that you will be underpaid, and there will be inflation, and you will not get paid more, and you will have to pay more. This is the story that has happened in the last 10 years, but I won't get into politics. There's no point. I mean, I'm believing more and more now that that's just kayfabe, that's just pro wrestling. Especially because Trump was both in the WWE as a character, as himself, and then he developed a really nice relationship with Vince McMahon, and they were friends. Obviously, Vince McMahon's going to be friends with Trump. They developed a really good friendship, and then Trump was there just learning. He was like, "Oh, these people don't care about information; they care about entertainment." That's what the people want. So he came along with a different tone. Didn't sound like any of the other politicians. So obviously, all the Dust Bowl people, they came out. They were like, "This guy represents me." But he doesn't. He represents his friends. He's just underschooled enough for you to be able to vibrate with him. As bad as that sounds, but I don't feel like school is a place for smart people. Man, I'm really going off with this podcast. Jesus. But yeah, I just want these to be, I am more than happy to introduce other people into these things, but what I want to do predominantly is just develop a community of people, free thinkers. Obviously, look, it's got the same mission statement as any online Facebook group. But with what difference? Free thought. Absolute, complete free thought. I mean, I'm looking to get like racists on this thing, man. I really want to know. I want to know. There's some validity to racism. I want to get some people on here that seriously believe in Trump, man. I can listen to people. I could Joe Rogan a motherfucker. But yeah, thank you for joining me. But yeah, so I only wanted these things to be like sort of 15 minutes long, and I'll finish off with sort of my final thoughts about like the left and the right brain working together in order to achieve the most optimum reality. So your reality isn't going to be the same as your paradise isn't the same as my paradise. This is why paradise is lost, and that's why it's a lost idea, is because your paradise and my paradise can't exist on the same planet. And it's just because of the differences in our ego. Our spirits want the same thing. Our spirits just want peace of mind, but our minds aren't giving it to it. So everyone's paradise is different. So how do we resolve this systematic issue deep within our naturally binded, biologically connected frame and form? How do we come to peace with this? We understand the importance of each other. That the left and the right side of the brain have to, in order to live within congruence, understand the power that each side gives the other side. And it's a very important, it's so important, but also so functional. Like, it's a better idea to be positive than it is to be negative. Oh, that's good for you to think because like you are not depressed. No, it depends where you orient your mind. And I talked about this with um well, I didn't talk about this. The shaman talked about this at me in Portugal. Um, a really nice, unassuming guy, just at a festival, and just said he was a shaman. You just believe him at a festival. You just, well, yeah, man. You whatever you want to be, man. He's seriously channeling some sort of yogi shit though, because he came out with oh, what was it now? Ah, fuck. As if I just built it up like that and I've just totally forgot. But yeah, so obviously that's the cliffhanger. I'll remember and I'll tell you at the next one. But yes, thank you so much for joining me, man. This was actually wonderful. Um, Actually, I'm going to try and remember. So the right, left, and the right hemisphere is the brain working together to achieve congruence through um, understanding each other's importance. I think I'm just going to leave it with that. Actually, yeah, I quite like the tone of that. So yeah, um, it's just really important right now to just understand that creativity is the only way out. It's the only way forward. There's doctors in labs right now being creative with all sorts of shit to try and cure this. What's going on? And we gotta let them. We gotta give them the financial support that they need in order to achieve. And we need to give our nurses, and we need to give our doctors, we need to give all these people the resources that they need in order to achieve. But right now, people are still got their hands in their pockets, and it's very strange. But it's okay, you know. It's a different time. It's a very, very strange time for everyone to sort of adjust to. Everyone's going to have these realizations, but it's going to happen over time. Not everyone sees these things and instantly switches. We're all at different points in our expansion of consciousness during our life, and that's not going to change soon. Some people pick up on stuff slower than others, and others won't accept that as a fact. Some people don't accept that the corona is existing right now. Some people don't accept that the world is round. And it's because, like, the whole death of meaning, because obviously we believed in these news sources for so long and then they started working with corporations. It's just the breakdown of trust. So we're just trying to form a network of trust within each other, which is nice though, because it means that, you know, your brethren, your there's more often going to be truth coming from the person next door than there is the person halfway across the world. You know what I mean? So yeah, who knows? But yeah, staying absolutely optimistic, because optimism, I purely believe, and this is pretty much a drastic belief, I do believe that exists on the right side of the brain, because the right side of the brain is concerned with creativity, and I feel like the human being is at its happiest when it's being creative. So I'll say that the most correct place to orient your brain. Ah, so it came back. It's come back. So this shaman at this festival. It was a Waking Life festival in Portugal. It was wonderful. It was an amazing affair, and we got to swim in a massive lake in the middle of this gorgeous festival scene. It had something like 5 stages. One of them was a tree house, and there was one stage that was just you could stand on it, and the sound reacted to your movement. It had motion sensors in the stage, and the lighting moved in accordance with your movement as well. And I saw a performance there that made me cry. Literally, just made me just bawl. It was so nice. And it was just two women, and they were just like going through these motifs of how they were living together and broke up, and I don't know. Oh god, it was just really emotional. It's making me emotional now. But yeah. So anyway, this festival. Anyway, this shaman was talking to me. And I was real bummed out. I was having a bad time. I don't know why. I don't know. I think I just bombed out after like 2 days of just like constant dancing. Just stopped and cried by the lake. And yeah, I was talking to this shaman, and he said it depends. He told me straight. He told me straight. He was like, you're orienting your brain in the wrong areas. And to understand the idea of orient, like, if you stand up and you orient, you have to orient to know that you're standing upright. That biological orientation um, goes deeper. It goes so deep. Like, if you imagine your consciousness as big as your body is, and as you focus it, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It gets more focused, and you're able to focus that on things and complete them a lot easier because you've cleared your mind. But you can actually, like, reduce your consciousness down to a small amount. You're basically sort of squeezing it in because it's so expanded, because you've expanded it outwards. And you've got a consciousness dot, which is the center of your consciousness, and you're orienting that at different parts of your brain. So if you're orienting it to the left, you may be more logical in that moment, and that may be because of the hormones that you've been giving your body has pushed your consciousness to orient into a different part of your brain. So it's literally situational, it's literally geographical to your brain. If you had a map of your brain, your consciousness moves from various areas to your brain, because your consciousness can move wherever it wants within that space. So, and this was the most scientific shaman, I've got to say, I think I've ever met. His name was Loki. Loki is like a French spelling, but it was like got a Q in it. Loki. I think it's like the English version is Luke, but yeah, Loki was wise. But yeah, and he said it depends where you orient your brain. If you orient your brain at the center, which is the pinnacle point, that's the point of balance. And that's why, if you ever meet someone that's into yoga or into meditation, they always say orient your brain and center yourself. And even if you close your eyes, you can sort of feel the center. Just bring your consciousness to the center, just reorient. That's all meditation is. It's just reorienting the brain, reorienting consciousness to the center of one's brain. I have to say one's, or else it's just not quotable. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this 22-minute long journey, and I thank you. I do thank you, because it's been a ranty one, but I think I went to a lot of different places with it, but I think I stuck to the main concept, which was the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, and how to bring congruence and how to center oneself. And this is just the way that I understand the world. You may understand the world in a different way, but I trust that your logic can extend to my logic, and then we can share a genuine interaction within this conversation. That's all we can ever hope for. I've been Wesley Davis. You've been Wesdat, and yeah, stay blessed. Don't stress. Death is an illusion. I'm definitely keeping that end tagline though.